People have been asking what is the priority to level up your relics and which ones you should be going for first before you evenly level the rest. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about priority for all classes, the Sage, the Sorcerer, the Knight, and also the Duelist, and which ones you have to focus on. As usual, before we start, hello the internet, welcome back to Waifus. I'm Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict. Today's topic, relic priority for all classes. Before that, I got a pretty nice upgrade today. I got well, first of all, I got, the legendary pet, which is nice. I also got this codex, which is nice, double crit damage, some crit rate. It was a little bit less combat power, like 100 less combat power than my previous one, but I took it. And then I don't think I got anything else. I think, did I get the boots today? I don't remember. I might have gotten the boots too on a stream, but my memory is awful, guys. So I don't know. And we also got to level 64 and we made some nice progress on Cinder Reach. That said, that's basically everything else. Oh, also important, I updated most of my builds when it comes to the Sorcerer. If you guys are interested, let me know and I'll make a new video going over all of the changes and why I made those changes. I think that's also important to be talking about specifically. So let me know if you guys want a video for that. That said, let's talk directly about today's topic, which is going to be relic priority for all classes, and we're gonna start with the easy ones, right? So let's start with, for example, the Sage. I think the Sage is the most simple to talk about because 99% of DPS Sages use the same build, and that is Erosion. And Erosion, it's nothing but dark damage. That is what Erosion is. It's literally dark damage. So you will be focusing first on dark damage as a Sorcerer. Now, if you already are obviously capped because you cannot keep leveling up, right? Let's say that I cannot level up anymore my relic for whatever reason because they are locked by rank. Which one should I be going for, Sefhi, after dark? Well, your summons will scale with different elements. So let's say you really like Flame Wolf summon. You can go for Fire Relic second because it is going to be improving its damage. If you like the Trailing summon, you can go for Wind because it will improve its damage. Check your pets, or sorry, your summons, and see which one you like to go second after you do Dark Relics for those. So first Dark, and then for example you can be going for Fire, and then Wind based on your usage for summons. That's for the Sage, super simple. Even if we guys are checking, the Prophet later on, it's still only dark damage and heals, obviously with some extra passive. But for the most part, even if we go into the previous one Dominator, more dark damage, a lot of passives for heals, and some extra summons that depending what they have, right? So once again, just focus on dark relics when it comes to Sage characters. Now let's talk about Duelists. Duelists are also a pretty simple class because at least early on, right? At least early on, Duelists will have two types of damage. The main damage, and that's going to be Fire. As you guys know, both Flame Aura and Fire Slash are pretty popular spells when it comes to the Duelist, right? So you can be going for both Dark and Fire because you also have a bunch of Dark spells. Now, the Duelist later on will also unlock, if I remember correctly, some Wind spells. So we can check, for example, Berserker. You're gonna be getting the Gale Dance here, but as a passive, not really increasing your damage. Is there anything on Conqueror, for example? Yes, Bladestorm, wind damage here. You're also going to be getting more passives. And if I check the last one, which is Ravager, there is also a couple more in there. So it's mostly Dark, then Fire, and then for long term, you can also do as a third priority Wind, and then whatever else you are leveling up, right? That is for the Duelist. Once again, a pretty simple one, I will say. Most of the classes are pretty simple. I think the only one that you need to be a bit more careful is with your Sorcerer because you can have most of the spells, and we'll go to that in a second. But before we talk about the Sorcerer, we have to talk about the Knight. The Knight early on has only one thing you need to worry about, and that's going to be water. Most of the damage for both the Duelist and the Knight is physical. There is no physical relics, so it doesn't matter, which ones you level up. But you have a lot of passives that have a specific damage type. And when it comes to the Knight, and even on later ranks, you will see a lot of water damage passives and active skills. Even if you keep going later to a Paladin, you'll see one more in there. It's not until you almost go to the last stage where he will start to show and to change a little bit into light damage. But that's literally at the end. Both Guardian and Templar will be having a lot of light damage, but that's later. So priority for a Knight right now, it's water, then you can go light, and then anything else you are leveling up, right? So super simple as well when it comes to the Knight and everything that comes later on. And then we can talk about the Sorcerer, which is the one that has the most spells. So Sorcerer has builds for all elements: light, breeze, wind, and fire. So which ones you level up first depends on nothing but your preference, which ones you are using. For example, my favorite build is Harmony, which uses spells of all types of elements. But at the end of the day, I focus first on Light, because that's, in my opinion, the strongest element out of all 4. Now, this is preference, but I'm going to be giving my opinion on which ones are stronger in terms of pure damage output. In my opinion, if you are a sorcerer, the relics you have to focus first are Light. Those are the strongest spells in terms of damage output and how good they are. The second is actually going to be the Fire one. Fire spells are pretty powerful, really good AoE, even some really good single target with Flame as well, right? So really good damage. I think Fire is after Light. Light is the highest one by far, and then you have Fire. And then I will say both Wind and Freeze are the last 2 elements, quote unquote. They are good, you can still clear with them, no problem, but I will say they are usually not as popular unless you are using them on specific enemies that are weak to that element. So once again, for a sorcerer, first Light, then Fire, and then whatever you like out of the 2, either Freeze first and then Wind, or vice versa, either works. The least priority for a sorcerer will be Dark, because you never have dark spells. That is for the Sage, right? And the Sage is the exact opposite, where he has priority for this and nothing else. So that is basically the priority for relics on all classes, on all 4 classes currently in the game. And even if we talk in the future, it's not going to be changing that much. But if anything changes, obviously I will be making an updated guide. And that's basically everything for this video. As usual, any questions you guys might have, feel free to leave a comment down below. And we are live every single day, so don't forget to check the links down below as well for that. Good luck with your pool, the and I'll see you on the next one.